Iron Man is a movie about a guy with boots of lead who fills his victims full of dread. There are two things about this movie that set it apart from your typical action schlock. First, the opening scene is great. It works as a way to get to know the character of Tony Stark. Arrogant and blasé, to the point of endangering both his personal safety and the safety of the United States. It's actually a bit shocking to see this happening. I was expecting Tony convincing the soldiers to lighten up to be the point of this scene, but it turns into a metaphor for what's been happening prior to the film. Tony's been having fun being a famous weapons mogul, while people have been dying through his inattentiveness. The second thing that stands out to me is the interaction between Jeff Bridges, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Robert Downey Jr. There are some great scenes, supposedly partly improvised, where two or more of them are doing the James Bond thing, where they're all pretending to have a nice conversation while fairly dark plot elements are being insinuated. I'm a sucker for this sort of thing. It's probably the only reason I didn't hate Moonraker.
Breaks my heart.
Of course, there's a lot of other things going on in this movie, like big robots and explosions. This is mostly fine. The action scenes which involve tricky flying are more tense than the others because the writers do a good job of conveying how difficult it is to control the suit. The missile stuff just seems like an arbitrary and unlimited resource that will get Iron Man out of any jam. But I guess you need some way to make explosions. And to be fair, a lot of the explosions are pretty good practical effects.
But I'll tell you, it definitely helps you kick up some dust when you know what you're running away from.
True. I kind of like Tron Jeff Bridges CEO type guy better. It's like some kind of Yogi-era Steve Jobs or something. Serious CEO type Jeff Bridges has his moments, though.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
He plays something by Salieri on a piano at one point, which I had no chance of getting when I first heard it. Salieri is the famous rival of Mozart and supposedly tried to kill him. There is such a thing about being too subtle with foreshadowing. But wait, it gets trickier. The Stark logo looks like the Lockheed Martin one, which is a clear reference to something. Is it good or bad to be like Tony Stark's company? Well, I doubt anyone cares. If I had a real problem with this movie, it was this bit.
I've been in captivity for 3 months. There are two things I want to do. I want an American cheeseburger. And the other...
That's enough of that.
Product placement is fine if you need something to be in the shot anyway. And it might actually be less distracting to see a real brand of whatever it is instead of a fake one, or even worse, the ubiquitous thing everyone recognizes with the logo covered up. But this is pretty intolerable. This guy sees several people he makes friends with die as a direct consequence of his actions, walks through the desert with no supplies after defeating a medium-sized terrorist organization single-handedly, and naturally he wants some comfort food to make himself sane while he decides what to do about the traitors in his midst. We've all been there. And he goes to Burger King. Yeah, fuck you. There were some annoying bits that referenced future movies at the expense of the current movie, but they were over quickly.
Next time, baby.
No. Also, why does Mr. Gung-Ho America...
That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it.
...rock out to an Australian band? But as I said, I enjoyed it. You can do so much worse without even leaving the current generation of Avengers movies.
Here he is. Tony Starks.
Tony Starks?
Tony Starks.
Tony Stark.
I was just saying, we don't need sleep, we got talent.